Yo, what's good, everybody? You guys are tuned in to episode, let me make sure I get this right, episode 14 of the Wave Pod. And first and foremost, I want to say shout out to everyone that's listening in on all platforms. So YouTube gang, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and everywhere else. Make sure you guys are leaving those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, so today we're going to talk about jump starting your semester to start it off on the right foot. And with me, I have a very good speaker. She does her series on her Instagram, and I listen to him, and she's a very good speaker, very good interviewer. And we have the lovely Olivia West. So Olivia West, say hi to everyone in and tell us a little bit about yourself before we start.
What's up? My name is Olivia West. I am a graduating senior at Purdue University, majoring in agricultural economics. I have had the craziest experience here at Purdue, coming in freshman year, not really knowing what I wanted to do, and then completely finding myself and falling in love with marketing. So upon graduation, I'll be joining Eli Lilly and Company as an incoming marketing associate in their headquarters in Indianapolis. So I'm so blessed with this education, the opportunity to lead, and I love sharing stories. So definitely thank you, Mike, for having me on here today, because I love to talk about setting the tone and mindsets. You truly are what you eat, and so you can really just manifest whatever you want to and make it happen. And so really excited to dive into this conversation and have this dialogue today.
Yeah, so why don't we start? So, my question to you, I like to just start off with the base question. How do you like to prepare for a semester? Like, what's your mindset going in? How long does it actually take you to prepare for like the actual start of the semester?
Preparation is key with anything you do, whether it is a school semester, you're starting a new job, maybe you're in the middle of a season and you just don't like the way it's going. It's important to prepare. And for me, it always starts with my mind, it starts with my head. And the best advice that I can give around starting something new is to make up your mind. To make up your mind. And what that means is you have to make up your mind, hey, this is going to be a victorious season for me. I am winning this semester. If you say those things, not just say them, but write them down. I feel like people talk about writing things all the time. Truly, take a pen or pencil to paper and write it down. I cannot tell you how many things I wrote down years ago that have just now come to fruition. But writing it down, making up my mind, and then sticking to it. My motto this new year is faith and follow through. So I am a Christian. I have faith in God. I have faith in myself, but I also want to follow through with those things that my faith tells me to do. So I'm going so hard. I'm going in this semester like I usually do, but you got to make up your mind. You got to get your mind right. And it's a really personal thing. I think sometimes for me, I do little intermittent fasting, maybe from social media, not just food, but just different things that help you get in the right mindset. I read this quote the other day that said, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of discipline. And isn't that true? If you are disciplined, if you are obedient to the process and fully submitted to whatever it is that you want to do, everything you've ever wanted, success, whatever, notoriety is on the other side of that. And so that's just something really interesting that I wanted to share.
Oh yeah. And I really like the quote that you said about like writing stuff down and stuff because me, I always say this like I'm busy for a planner or something like that to write down different things. However, I try to write things down, but like I utilize like reminders on my phone or something. I have like a daily reminder to remind me of like something to think about. So it's a motto: elevate, motivate, and punctuate. So just elevating myself every day and then just motivating myself to do things and motivating the others around me and then just punctuating. So like putting the emphasis on what I did to make sure I leave my mark in society. So that's one of those things that I like to do to remind myself every day to, get up and make sure that you're doing something and coming up with different ideas and jotting things down. But in reality, I'm more of a in my head person. So like I just do things like think of things like podcast ideas like this. I'm always constantly thinking about what can I do to improve. Like, should I get this? Should I get that? Or how can I utilize certain things to work out in my favor? So I pretty much like that, and I want to apply that into jump starting my schoolwork. So setting different goals for myself, like taking more time out to study, or having that little digression, such as taking that break from social media or your phone as well. So I really like that. And for example, I would want to say like the time that it would take me to get prepared for class. I say like this winter break, I was getting prepared for the semester, the whole winter break. I was literally stalking classes, trying to get my schedule how I wanted it perfectly and everything. So I say, I say preparation is always key, and making sure that you want what you have and making sure you set a goal out for yourself, whether it be, for example, me, I was looking up a class almost every day. I was making sure that class was open so I could get in that class so I could take it. So
Yeah, absolutely. What is that saying? Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
yeah.
I mean, isn't that the truth? If you were prepared, if you're poised, if you're ready, it doesn't matter what's coming toward you, you're going to be ready for it. Another quote that comes to mind is success has two inconvenient demands: getting started and finishing well. And so I think that as we prepare for this upcoming semester, if we want to be successful, which we do, of course, as students, we have to get started on a really strong note and then just carry that tone all the way through. And that's something that's hard. That's where that follow through comes in. But it starts in your head. It really starts in your head. You have to transform from the inside out. And I remember in my own journey on campus and just through different endeavors I've done, when I made a change, it started inside first. My
Mhm.
freshman and sophomore year, I got really bad grades at Purdue. And that really plagued my progression until I made my mind up that I'm not going to be bound by that anymore. I'm not going to let those bad grades ruin the rest of my collegiate career. So I had to make my mind up. And I made my mind up way before you saw me on the e-board of everything. I made my mind up way before I had these corporate internships. It's something that happened on the inside and then transpired on the outside when it was time.
No, I totally agree with you because I had that similar situation where for my major, like how we have the MAI and you need the requirements to get into Cranner in the upper division and whatnot. And so I was kind of like on like my last retry, and I really didn't want to do that. So it takes something to motivate you to get you up out your comfort zone. So you're doing things such as like going to those office hours and working out certain things. Or my biggest thing recently was acquiring an internship. So I was like wondering, what do I need to do to acquire an internship and stuff, and that motivated me to get out my comfort zone a little bit and try different things and go to these events and talk to people and really connect and try new things out. And it led to me actually getting an internship, which I was happy about. So I say that's one big thing to lead into jump starting your semester is just get out your comfort zone a little bit and try new things, because you never know what may or may not help you out.
Yeah, yeah, and that is the truth. Getting out of your comfort zone. Like another thing that I think outside of your comfort zone is also everything that you've ever wanted. Like there are some people who like their box, and that's fine. But also, what's on the outside of that box is really cool, and it can be really fun too. There's so many opportunities everywhere you're at. It doesn't matter if you're at Purdue, another school, maybe you're at home just chilling, trying to figure things out, but there's opportunity. And good leaders see opportunity. Poor leaders see oppression. And that, again, that's a mindset thing. There are so many factors that are constantly working against you, but I don't choose to focus on those. I want what's for me. I want the people who are on my team in my corner. And it's really important then to use those things to propel yourself forward into an area outside your comfort zone that is going to be so beautiful and so fruitful for you.
No, that's great to hear. And it's kind of like touching into what I want to talk about next, which is how do you overcome a slump? I know we've been talking about it and progressing, but it's kind of easy once you fall into the slump to just dig yourself into a deeper hole. But how do you make sure that when you're in that hole that you make sure you climb up and prevail?
Yeah. So turning trials into trophies. That is the name of the game. We are going to stumble. We will fall. It'll happen. Things will happen to you. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. I would say, first and foremost, feel your feelings. Grieve, whatever it is. When I had those bad semesters, I was down bad. I was crying. I was disappointed. I used all of those emotions to fuel my fire, to help me in my comeback season. No matter what happens to you, no matter how tired, scattered, or frustrated you become, good leaders and successful people are always in control of what comes out of their mouth. And if you control what comes out of your mouth and it's positive and it's energetic and it's uplifting, your life will do the same thing. There was this leadership conference I was at. It was in 2019. It was in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was an all women's leadership conference. And I remember this exercise because it just stuck with me and it made all the difference. It was a group of women. There were like 8 of us at the table, and we all got this little piece of paper and we wrote something on this piece of paper, a negative thought that we've thought about ourselves in the last year, a thought that keeps creeping in, maybe some self-doubt that we have. We all wrote this on our piece of paper. And I wrote something along the lines of, you're good, but you'll never be good enough. That's a negative thought that sometimes lives rent free in my head. And we crumpled up this piece of paper and we threw it in the center of the table. And then we all reached in and got a piece of paper and we read it out loud. And we made the analogy. It's like, okay, this is an awful thing. Would you ever say that awful thing to someone else? Would you ever walk up to your friend and say, you're good, but you'll never be good enough? No, you would never say that. So if you wouldn't say it to someone else, why would you say it to yourself? You know? And that's something that stuck with me. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I would never tell someone that I love that you're good, but you're never good enough. So why would I tell myself that? Because I love myself more than anything else. And so that is something that's an exercise that helped me really, really get my mind right. It's like words are powerful. Words carry a lot of weight. We have a lot more agency than we think we do. So we got to be careful with our words.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I love that you mentioned that because that's one of those things, coming to Purdue actually, like it was a kind of a big reality check for me because I realize I'm amongst many other common peers, and some may be very much smarter than me and some may have more accolades than me, but coming to knowing what I can do and what I can achieve and learning to love yourself. I like that. Learning to love yourself within and knowing that you can achieve all and you can actually do what you're doing. Don't look at everyone else's lane. Try to like stay in yours and see how you can keep on moving up the road as well. And that's something that I really appreciate that you said, because it's good to mention that, like, never look at other people for comparison as far as your own goals go. Make sure that you're monitoring your progress because it's easy to fall behind.
Exactly. It's me versus me all the time. My biggest competitor is Olivia. And that is something that it's kind of fun because every single time I'm chasing, I'm achieving. When the new year switched, I was like, wow, it's time to turn it on again. It's time to turn it up. Like I am turning all the way up this year. We are out here succeeding and learning to love well and pouring into other people. That's what I want to do. And there are times that I've fallen short in those areas, but I am going to get that much better, that 1% better each and every day. And I also think something that's been good for me is realizing that my most valuable mental skill is the ability to think twice before you make a decision, before you have an interaction. I think social media, we share whatever we want, but when I think twice about things, when I am reflective and then am able to make adjustments moving forward, that's when you grow. And I am so excited for this next season. I mean, yeah, sure, we're still in a pandemic. The campus is a little
Yeah.
boring, dry a lot of the time, but there's so much opportunity this year, and I'm ready to seize all of it.
Yeah, you're perfectly right about season opportunity. And if you would mind, since you're going into like your last semester, what are some of your goals that you have in mind, and what are some of the things you want to take away being your last semester here at Purdue?
My main goal this semester is to leave a legacy. I want to leave a legacy of excellence, of positivity, of optimism, of you can do it type of spirit. No matter what I've done or what I've said, it ultimately comes down to how I've made others feel. You know, there's that quote that people will forget what you said to them, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. So I just want to be very intentional and cognizant of my actions and my words. And I only want to speak life into other people. That is truly something that this semester I am committed to, leaving that legacy of you can do it, you are welcome, you are needed here, because I think so often no one talks like that here
Yeah.
on campus. You know, when I came in as a freshman, I didn't have people that I looked up to and really admired. And so I would love to be that person and leave that legacy. So everything is just very kingdom minded for me this semester. Another thing that I always rely on is this quote that says, delay is God's issue, procrastination is my issue. So that's something that if God is telling me to do something, like I need to faith, know that I'm built on that strong foundation. If something is delayed, that's it's all a part of the plan. It's all a part of the plan. Mike, I had such a hard time back in the day finding internships. I'm not even kidding you. I would get 20 rejections and it killed me every time. I'd be crying. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the worst. Until I made my mind up and said, hold on, I think this is part of a bigger plan, and it was a part of God's plan. And I'm so glad that I just stuck with it and was submitted to the process, because God didn't deny me. He just delayed it a little bit and it made all the difference.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. And I also want we're gonna have to make a separate episode about LinkedIn, because you're really good at like making the LinkedIn post and keeping up and managing the social media as far as the professional aspect goes. So we're definitely gonna have to talk about that more and get into an episode about that, because I feel like that's a skill that not a lot of people utilize, but the people that can utilize and perfect it is really helpful for them.
Absolutely. LinkedIn has done nothing for me except help me level up. You know, LinkedIn is a tool that I use that sometimes my name will be in people's mouths and I don't even know them. Or
Yeah.
I would meet them and they're like, hey, we saw you on LinkedIn. And so I would love to talk more about that. It's really just, I mean, it's just another media platform, right? We're all on Twitter, we're all on Instagram, we're all on Snapchat. Get on LinkedIn, share what you're up to, because you are excellent, you are brilliant. And I don't know about you, but I want to tell people about that.
Yeah. No, I understand for sure. And even if it's just like certain hobbies that you're doing or things of that nature, putting it on LinkedIn and reaching out to many people is really helpful. And I feel as though that helped me out a lot, especially like connecting with different recruiters or posting like, hey, I went to this event and this is what I learned. And with these big name companies, and or if it's just something you're doing on your own, it just shows that you're actually trying, and it's great to see that besides a resume, I feel as though.
Absolutely. And LinkedIn is somewhere that in this upcoming semester, I'm pivoting a little bit. I think I used to talk just a lot about me and a lot about, oh, look at what I'm doing, look at this. But I've also tuned into this idea that an encourager, a motivator is always the most memorable person. You know, someone who you talk to and you walk away feeling like you can conquer the world. That is what I want to be. And I don't think that I'm that all the time yet on social media. And so that's a branding thing, a personal branding pivot that I'm going to make. I really want to speak life into people continuously on a regular basis. And so that's kind of where I see my LinkedIn going in this next season.
That's really good to hear. And having I say having certain people or a person like how you mentioned earlier that you could look up to and say, "Hey, I see them every day, or I see them every so often. I can do this too," because we're all at the same place. That's very motivating and great to hear. And also, I want to talk about more so how to actually motivate and lead people to doing things, because as college students it's easy to focus on that narrow road of me, but like how do you extend that out and actually help people, and especially during these difficult times as well. So how do you see yourself helping to motivate and lead people as well and continuing to be a role model throughout?
We've got to be honest in knowing that motivation comes and goes. I don't wake up every day like, oh, I'm so excited to go to this class today and work and answer all these emails. No, like that's not real. So we have to like tell the truth, and motivation comes and goes. So when you have it, get to work. When you have it, pour into other people. When you don't have it, which happens, semesters are long. We don't even have a spring break this semester. When you don't have motivation, still get in the trenches and do the work. you know there's this Bible verse that tells you, you know do the work. And I feel like so often people are waiting. What are you waiting for? Get busy. If it's not always like you're gonna wake up and start a business. You're not gonna wake up and get on Dean's List, but you can do practical, tangible things each day that'll make that overarching goal a lot more practical. And so I think my best advice around that is to simply, when you have the motivation, get busy. When you don't, hopefully you did enough work to tie you over until the next time. And I think for me, more personally, is my cup overflows. It
Mm-hmm.
does. And so that overflow, I want to put that in other people. I have this book in my car and I read it when I'm waiting for things. Sometimes I'll be in the drive through or sometimes I'm waiting on a friend. And the book is called How Full is Your Bucket? And the entire book talks about your words. And okay, is this word filling someone else's bucket or is it taking away from someone's bucket? And I think sometimes it's just that simple. I don't have to feel motivated to speak life into someone else and to fill up their bucket. I don't have to be like the most successful person on campus or be a president of an organization to make someone else feel good about themselves. It just comes down to who are you and how do you want to make other people feel?
Oh, yeah, I agree with that 100%. And especially just going through different motions and just seeing how like the people around you are affected by some of the decisions that you make. And yeah, how do you my question would be like, how would you deal with knowing when too much is too much as far as a semester? Because it's easy to get overwhelmed with stuff, and how we lack motivation all the time to do the work. So how is it that you recognize that it's a problem, and how do you effectively solve it?
You have to know your capacity. You have to know how to say no as well. I'm asked to do a lot of different things. And I would say 3 out of the 5 times, I'm going to say no. Why? Because I'm busy. Why? Because I'm tired. Why? Because I've reached my capacity. And so you have to know your personal capacity. You don't go to a restaurant, a buffet, and eat every single thing, right? You know your capacity. You know what you like. You know what you don't like. You know where to stop. You have to apply that same principle to school, to work. You have to establish boundaries. When people can schedule meetings with you, how accessible you are on social media. If people call you, you can choose whether to answer it or not. Just because someone calls you and asks you for something does not mean that you have to give it to them. So I think just being really mindful of your own boundaries, knowing your capacity, and then being really strict on that. Don't let people invade your space that don't add to it.
And that's great, because that was leading to my next question, is also how do you make sure that you block that negative energy away, because you know, as we all know, negative energy is kind of some of the easiest things to get involved in. So how do you separate that negative energy and make sure that you're keeping track on your personal goals?
Absolutely. You have to make sure that you're around good people, not just people that, oh, like they'll end up being good, but right now, people who love you, people who you can trust. And that's something that's taken me a long time to find. Your vibe attracts the tribe of people that you hang around. And if you're acting crazy and not doing the right stuff, you're going to attract that same energy. But if you're doing what you need to do, speaking life into other people and wanting everyone around you to be successful, those are the types of people that you will be around. There's this quote that says, you are the average of the 7 people that you hang out the most around. Imagine that. Look at the 7 people that you recently have texted, like the top 7 people. You're the average of them. Are you happy with that? If not, you have to change. If not, you have to shift. If not, you have to change your environment. There's also a Bible verse that says, guard your heart above all else. You have to guard your heart. You have to guard your mind from things that aren't good for you or to you. And so I think that's something that I'm very mindful of. How are some ways you can guard your heart and your mind? You have to monitor your media consumption. You go on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you don't know what people are saying. You don't know what their heart posture is. You don't know what their intention is. You have to be careful. You have to be very careful with those things.
Yeah, and I agree 100% how social media can really take effect to your mood, which can overall lead to different things such as, you know, reflecting negatively on assignments or projects, or just your mood in general to help you with your jump start. So definitely controlling your media consumption, because it's easy to fall 2 or 3 hours on Netflix and Twitter and Instagram compared to 3 hours of actually trying to improve yourself. But so, all in all, sometimes you need that little getaway or little aura, such as like going on YouTube or Netflix. So I like to say, like, what is your favorite getaways that you like to do, you know, to reflect or, you know, just clear your mind and have something fun?
My absolute favorite way to escape is to play basketball. I love basketball. I've always loved basketball. I played in high school. I got really good in high school, and I didn't decide to play in college, but basketball will always be a part of my life. Like, I am a hooper. I have my bag, I have a ball, I have everything I need to make me happy. So hooping and just some good music. I also love to freestyle. So I love to freestyle rap. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's serious, but I love to freestyle because it gets me thinking, it gets me feeling. It's fun for me and it's fun to share with other people. And so I would really say playing basketball and freestyle rapping is my escape.
That's actually good to hear. And I would say, how has those hobbies like affected and changed you like positively? Because I know you said it's your getaway, but you know, sometimes when you're during your getaway, you things just pop into your head and you're able to utilize that for your professional career. So how has how has playing basketball, you know, getting that mind clear, or freestyling just like actually made you think of something like, hey, I can utilize this here or there?
The game of basketball is a game of confidence. I mostly play with guys, guys that are faster than me, they're stronger than me, but I can shoot, I can dribble, I can pass. I really think that basketball helps with my confidence. Like, you can't tell me nothing because I run with the guys and still beat them. It's like it is something that adds to me. It also helps me be competitive. I am a competitor. I am someone who goes in with an eye of a tiger. I am a shark. I will overcome. No matter if you're bigger, you're faster, or stronger, whatever. But guess what? I work hard. And hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And so basketball has kind of helped me just with discipline and a mindset thing. I think with rapping, it's something it's fun to me. It's funny that I'm good at it. I grew up in a really small town, rural area, didn't grow up with a whole lot of black people. growing up in general, I didn't listen to a whole lot of music. And so it's like, how did I get good at rapping? Like, how am I good at something that I had no exposure to? And it's just a fun thing for me. I feel like I'm very calculated. I'm very planned. I'm very poised and postured. And freestyling is the one area that I don't have to be, that there's no restraints, there's not a fence on it, and I feel free. And I love to freestyle as well.
That is great to hear. And speaking of basketball, one of the things I actually learned from basketball is sometimes never to think what the next man is thinking. Sometimes you gotta be the reactor instead of reacting to what people are doing, because it's easy to, when you're reacting to someone, it's easy to get caught, and then that's how you get scored on. But sometimes when you're being the reactor, it kind of messes up things. So it's good to have that jump start and take the first step. Sometimes you gotta lead a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as you were talking about basketball, there's another thing that it's taught me to be a part of a team. You're one of five. You cannot play basketball by yourself. I mean, yeah, in your driveway, but you need that team. You need someone to pass you. You need someone to rebound. I don't really like to rebound, so someone else can do it. It's really taught me how to be a good team player.
I'm gonna need you to tell a couple people I know that you're not the only person on the court, but
Well, okay. In pickup ball, sometimes you're the only person on the court. Like I see the shots that some people put up and I'm like, oh, I should have just shot that myself because that was terrible. So pickup ball is a little bit different, but it is a good time. It's always a good time.
yeah. And before we wrap this up a little bit, I just got one last question. So I know we talk about leaving a legacy, but I want you to tell all the viewers out there, how can you start leaving your legacy today?
Leave your legacy today by being kind to yourself when you mess up, being kind to yourself when you maybe have a season that you're not super proud of. Maybe you got bad grades, maybe you lost a job, struggling financially. Be kind to yourself, have grace for yourself. And then, secondly, dream about who you want to be and then become that. Think about, wow, like this is what I want to do in the future. Become that. Start living in your dream. A lot of people just dream of things and then never try to make that happen, but live in your dream. Live there, dwell there. When you are facing some opposition, think about what you want to be and then start to become that. Be a little bit more kind, work a little bit harder, study an hour longer. Just get started and finish well, and you're well on your way to leaving a legacy that you and many others will be proud of.
That is great to hear. And by the way, to all my listeners, Olivia actually has a series on her Instagram where it's titled Leave Your Legacy. And she has people on and they talk about their legacy at Purdue and certain takeaways of that nature. So if you want to, Olivia, right now, as we're wrapping it up, I'd like for you to shout out anything that you have going on, or your Instagram, or anything really.
Absolutely. So in this next season, that was my first speaker series, and I started the speaker series in August of 2020. I have a lot of friends that have amazing stories. Like, my friends are dope. My friends are my biggest flex. And so I was like, all right, y'all want to hop on Instagram and just talk about our life? And they're like, sure. They've had great internships. I've had great internships, and we just have this amazing dialogue of telling our story. And what that has done is it's created an environment where if you see someone on campus and you don't know them, but you listen to them speak, that you might actually approach them and talk to them. You might follow each other on Instagram and then connect and be able to ask each other questions. It started a community online. And so I'm not sure what this next season is going to hold for my speaker series, but it's going to continue. The show will go on. And yeah, follow me at live_west_ on Instagram. And I promise to post dope content and speak into your life positivity. So, Mike, thank you for having me today. This is
That's
awesome.
That's great to hear, and I appreciate you coming on too. You're definitely welcome back onto the Wave Pod, and shout out to everyone that's listening in. So shout out to YouTube gang, shout out to Spotify, shout out to my Apple Podcast people. Remember to leave 5-star on Apple Podcasts, and yeah, without ado, make sure you follow me on Instagram at the_wavepod. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. It was great having you, Liv. Peace.